Hi all, and welcome to Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. This is August 11th. My name is Thomas Williams, and those two songs will have a deeper meaning nearing the end of this first hour. I'm still coming to terms with some of the information that I've been kind of blessed in receiving. It's extraordinary, groundbreaking on so many levels, and I think you'll all be pleased at the end of it. Well, we have a show as normal, and so we will continue with some of the nonsense that's been going on around the world. And but first of all, I'd like to say a happy birthday to Robert Baxter. Happy birthday, sir. I hope you had a good day. Some of the information coming up will kind of make your day and everybody else's. So I got a hint of what was to come, and I posted an excerpt from part of a song. And again, this will make more sense later. And from the darkness comes a smile that reaches out for many miles, touching everyone. No more shadows of the past. Your spirit is free to fly at last, shining in the sun. I'll repeat that later on because it explains things to a T. Right, so happy birthday to Robert Baxter. And we'll now get into some of the news, and then we'll cover some extraordinary stuff later in the hour. So lots of things have been going on. There's lots of news going on. The Olympics going on. I've got some stuff on the Olympics. In fact, I'll go there first. On the opening ceremony, the cabal, the rogue elements, were going to initiate a false flag event of epic proportions. Something was put in place. I don't want to expand too much as it stands. There was something put in place within the stadium and something from outside of here that was going to have an impact. That was yet again prevented, and that led into some extraordinary exchanges that we'll be covering later in the hour. But what was encouraging was the Olympic president and his speech. It was highly encouraging, with veiled taunts against the cabal, and he spoke of unity of all the peoples, whether they're athletes or not, and the spirit, an end to those who are selfish and seek to destroy us, he said. That is something that will be forthcoming in the coming days, weeks and months. Now, the Olympics, everybody's seen what's gone on. Some of the trouble's gone on behind the scenes. The people are not happy. And Rio de Janeiro is, to be quite honest, quite a troubled city. And it's kind of known for some of its sprawling favelas, as they call it. Tin shacks, we would say, where people, the have and the have-nots are so far apart. It's kind of resembles some of the slums of India. And yet Brazil managed to find some 4.6 billion just in creating the facilities for these Summer Olympics, and yet they can't find money to correct the lives of their own people. 4.6 billion for a games that takes place over 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum, and then largely gets forgotten. Most of the facilities are left to rot. There's always some countries that will use part of it, but largely it's a whole heap of waste. Ceremonials for the select few, high society and high parties, and all free food and drink, except for the people who have to pay for it. So in total, there's $12 billion have been spent on the Olympics. Now, the average monthly salary in Brazil is $778. And this explains why there's so much angst by the people of Rio in particular, and Brazil in general, of the desperate poverty they face on a daily basis, and yet 12 billion can just be frittered away on a sporting event. Doesn't really equate. Well, hopefully we'll have some better news for them later on. But it just highlights the excessive waste that's been prevalent through our society over many, many years now. One of the most encouraging things that came out of the Olympics this week was a South Korean gymnast by the name of Lee Eun-jun and a North Korean gymnast, Hong Un-jong, who took a selfie together during the women's gymnastics. Now, this photo is probably replicated all around the Olympics, and it was an innocent snap between two very world-class athletes, but apparently it's caused quite a happy stir within the social media. Now, Korea has been divided since 1945. The North was backed by the Soviets and the South was backed by democratic forces, i.e. cabal. Democratic, indeed. Yeah, even after the Iron Curtain fell, the two countries remained hostile, with periodic military and diplomatic clashes often occurring on the country's border, known as the Korean Demilitarized Zone. It's a bit like parts of Pakistan and India, same thing. And yet the gymnast photo shows that despite the years of political animosity between the two countries, sport also has the ability to supersede politics. Yes, it has, when it's not an excessive waste of finances, when the peoples of that country are suffering. But sports in general do have a way of solving some of the political and country divides, like music does. And as long as it's used in the correct way, it can bring a lot of people together. It's just the unfortunate excesses of what's going on there. So, where can we go to next? Let's go to Florida. There's a few things going on in Florida. There always seems to be things going on in Florida. Whether it's because I live here, I have no idea, or it's just the way things happen here. So early last week, a Florida retiree was fatally shot during a citizen police academy drill. She was playing the part of an intruder when the cop shot her with live bullets in a drill. The woman's son told NBC News that he forgives the officer who fired the fatal shot and killed his mum at the Punta Gorda Police Department event. Mrs. Knowlton, 73, was taking part in a shoot-don't-shoot exercise when she was struck by a live round. Almost 3 dozen other participants looked on, the police said. Citizens police academies like the one Knowlton attended are common around the state, and a spokesman said they're a way of showing the community the various responsibilities of law enforcement. I'm not too sure that's the best way to deliver that, to be quite honest. So the shoot don't shoot drills, it gives people a better idea of what an officer has to deal with when confronted with ambiguous situations, but asked whether it was common to use live ammunition in these kind of drills. The police spokesman said, no, it's not. And that kind of says it all to me. Is that another staged event? Is that another propaganda stunt? Who knows? But why in a drill where they're using live ammunition? It'd be kind of interesting to find out what the lady's family are connected to. I haven't had time to do that. Now, we're probably covering questions about the Zika and all that BS. But there's a report out this week, and it's kind of gone unnoticed, although we have around the country suffered some bad weather, tornadoes, etc., etc. But the argument is the global warming, that we'll get much more hurricanes and much stronger hurricanes. And yet, hurricanes, large and small, have eluded US shores for what is now a record length of time. The population and the wealth along parts of the US coast has exploded since the last stormy period, and experts dread the potential damage and harm once the drought ends. Who's to say it won't? 3 historically unprecedented droughts in landfalling US hurricanes are presently active. A major hurricane hasn't hit the US Gulf or East Coast in more than a decade. Major hurricane is one containing maximum sustained winds of at least 111 miles an hour and classified as a Category 3 or higher on the 1 to 5 Saffir-Simpson wind scale. The streak has reached roughly 4,000 days, longer than any previous drought by nearly 2 years, which is roughly 730 days. 27 major hurricanes have occurred in the Atlantic Ocean basin since the last one, Wilma, struck Florida in 2005. The odds of this are 1 in 2,300, according to a hurricane researcher from Colorado State University. And Florida hasn't seen a hurricane of any intensity since 2005, which was Wilma again. Considering the averages are about 7 hurricane landfalls per decade, the current drought in the Sunshine State, nearing 11 years, is almost twice as long as the previous longest drought of 6 years, which was 1979 to 1985. So I have a feeling, and I'm aware of people with abilities have been pushing a lot of these weather events offshore, and that may be why we're not seeing them. So that's kind of cool anyway. Where are we going now? Off to England and Wales. This defies belief. Well, it doesn't really, but it's indicative. The President of the Police Superintendents Association of England and Wales has stated that there are so many pedophiles in England and Wales that they can't all be jailed. This particular police chief, a guy by the name of Gavin Thomas, and is now calling for more debate on a softer approach at the lower levels of sexual offences. The Chief Superintendent warns the sex offenders register is growing so quickly that the police will not have the ability to monitor the criminals as hoped. Or perhaps if they stop standing on or hiding behind street corners waiting for motorists to go past, they might be able to do something. Most of the cops in Britain are waiting for speeding tickets. That's kind of how they operate there. So this particular police superintendent apparently wants some pedophiles who download child abuse images but do not commit offences involving contact to be sent for treatment rather than prison. I would suggest that was twofold, because I think most people by now are aware the levels of pedophilia is rampant amongst the police, the judges and the social services in the UK. They're all working together. And I'm not surprised that he says they won't be able to jail them all, because it involves quite extraordinary numbers. There's they have what they call closed courts, secret courts, and this was told to me going back when I was still in the UK. So it was late 90s. And some of the social workers were leaving, or a number of social workers were leaving in all regions, and were setting up private enterprises. And they were working in cahoots with the police. And a lot of social services, if you check on the register of companies, which all social services are owned by police forces in the UK. And also with these special judges. And basically what was taking place all around the country is these social workers were being paid, from what I gather, around $25,000 to $30,000 per child to remove them from homes, whether that particular home was abusive or not. And suddenly a whole heap of kids was disappearing. And then what happened was it would go into a closed court where the parents weren't allowed to attend, or a lawyer. And the judge largely was putting these children in so-called foster homes that the parents couldn't have any contact with. And there was a couple of fairly high-profile cases. One particular woman had to flee to Tunisia because she was pregnant with a second child, and they took the first one off her for no apparent reason. There was no background to do with this particular family at all. And suddenly the social workers removed the child. It went into the court system, and they immediately put that child into adoption or foster. Well, I have a feeling that foster and adoption means into the slavery system, be it sex or whatever else, rituals. It's unpleasant to hear, but this is the reality. There was another particular case, and the woman had 3 or 4, maybe 5 children. And police in riot gear turned up to the house between 3 and 4 in the morning, smashed the front door down, and swept up all the kids. And the people had no idea. The social worker and the police turned around and said they've had reports that the woman was shouting too loudly at her child, and someone reported her. So that was the cue for riot police to turn up and remove her 4 to 5 children. A week later, all those children were gone. they'd gone into the court system and they'd all been put up for adoption or foster, and the woman was told under no uncertain circumstances that she would never have contact with her children again. A couple of days later, a social worker returned, knocked on the door, and handed the smallest child, which was months old, less than 9 months old, and gave her the child back. And of course the woman then asked, "Where's the rest of my children?" She says, "No, I'm giving you this one back because that one doesn't belong to us." You know why it didn't belong? Because that woman in particular had not registered that child. So in other words, she hadn't signed the register to hand the child over to the state, which is what the birth certificate and the registering of a child does. And this was highlighted quite a lot in UK newspapers at the time, which I thought was rather extraordinary, because it's not often that type of skullduggery is put forward in the media, but it was, and I'm pleased to say that the first woman successfully had her second child and moved on with life, but she's now in hiding from the authorities because they want that child as well. So that's a kind of sobering update on that. Where are we going next? Financial waste. Here we go. Senator Chuck Grassley this week, who is a leading taxpayer watchdog in Congress, revealed last Friday that the Veterans Administration has spent $20 million since 2004 on art, and 16 million of that during the Obama years, whilst at the same time cutting services to war veterans. 20 million in 12 years. Just, talking about what, 1.6, 1.7 million a year on pieces of art when the soldiers are dying. Really? Ooh, that makes me mad. And here's another thing that's going to make you even more mad. I've kind of lost my place. That got increased. Right. Yes, I've got it now. Washington, D.C. A new Department of Defense Inspector General's report was released last week. Not much fanfare, but then there wouldn't be. And has left some of us who managed to pick it up stunned at the total lack of accountability and oversight. Well, there is no accountability and there is no oversight. It's deliberate and always has been. And what the report stated, that the Pentagon couldn't account for $6.5 trillion with a T. $6.5 trillion worth of Army General Fund transactions and data, according to a report by the Fiscal Times. Now, that's a big figure in itself. But when you divide that by roughly 500 billion, which is what we waste, in my opinion, each year on the war fund, that's 13 years worth at current funding rates. 13 years of the military budget all gone. Heads need to roll for that, and quickly, I might add. Also announced without much fanfare this week, we're going to have another deployment from the 2nd Brigade combat team of the 101st Airborne Division, from which roughly 400 troops will be sent to Iraq. Last month, Mr. Obama decided to raise the cap on the number of ground troops in Iraq to 4,647, and this cap has now become, quite frankly, a bit of a running joke. I said it's not funny to the people, or the soldiers, I might add, as the Pentagon has repeatedly admitted to having well more troops than that in Iraq and Afghanistan. Most recent estimates is stating that we have over 6,000 US ground troops in Iraq already, and they're talking about adding another 400 before this new deployment. Smacks to me as they're removing all our military to foreign shores, which leaves us unprotected. I think they'll pay a price for that one day. The Pentagon has argued that only permanent troops count towards the cap, and that open-ended deployments that aren't officially labelled permanent allows them to send more or less unlimited troops into Iraq without violating the cap. So it's a bit like the unemployment. They're going to fiddle it and put the figure out they want you to hear when the real figure is much higher. You know, what we have to remember in all of this is on one of their ritual sacrifice days, Beltane Day, May the 1st, Idiot Bush in 2003 made a statement: mission accomplished. Why are we still there 13 years if mission was accomplished? I'll leave that for you to decide. 13 years. Idiot Bush said that, and yet we're still there. Alright, where are we going next? 20 minutes may run over. So there's a lot of councillors and the committees are kind of scurrying about themselves to protect the wealth of the 1%. A story that came out this week, with the backing, Nevada has stoked an aggressive rivalry among a smattering of states to babysit the wealth of the nation's top 1%. Basically what they're doing, they're pressing public officials to pass laws, streamline regulations, lower fees, and replace DMV level service with concierge treatment. The federal government leaves it to each state to draw up its own trust laws, and several have tried to go as far as they can without inciting accusations that they are abetting tax evasion or hiding assets from legitimate creditors and tax collectors elsewhere. And the leaders in this particular group are Nevada, Delaware, go figure, South Dakota and Alaska, nonetheless. But other states are now apparently joined in this asset protection frenzy, including New Hampshire, Wyoming, Tennessee and Ohio. And all are hoping that they can dip a spoon into the $1 trillion plus pot of cream that has traditionally been preserved in offshore tax havens like the Cayman Islands. Of course, we've all heard over the last 12-18 months, a lot of the Cayman Islands issues got exposed via the WikiLeaks and the Panama Papers and a few other things. But over the last decade, New Hampshire has passed nearly a dozen laws affecting trusts that expanded their lifespan, lowered taxes and made it easier to transfer assets. In other words, off-ledger books. That's how they work. And in 2013, the state created a special trust court subdivision to handle the complex litigation, and last year an overhaul of state banking laws simplified the said regulations, simplified for them to basically protect the 1% into the states, offshore to onshore. This gets into maritime law again, law of the sea or law of the land. Alright. The elections, or the selection. Of course, we've mentioned this many times now. It's already been decided. Hillary will be our new leader. Or their new leader, it's not mine. Or anybody that listens to this show. And I received from fairly high level sources, in fact ultra high level sources this week, that Mr. Trump is going to start to play the game. He's now been activated to play his role in the game. And what you will see although he has made one bizarre statement already this week, you will see a succession of ridiculous comments, deliberate, by Mr. Trump, so he ends up with less people following and Hillary gets in. Mr. Trump is part of the game. I know that'll upset some of the people, Drake included, but this is the reality. He's now been activated to play the role that was mentioned by myself on Cosmic Voice last year, where he's playing the cards for Hillary to be president. Now, what has also taken place, which will lead into some of the big news, is it's not expected that Hillary will be around by election day. Neither will Trump, I might add. The leader of the House, or the Speaker of the House, whoever that may be, will be the new president. The cabal, or the people at the top end, kind of partake in something, an adrenaline drink, for want of a better word, like a juice, that gives them a whole heap of advantages over the ordinary people. As fate would have it, the last batch of that juice is corrupted and they're all dying. Over the course of weeks and months, you will see a lot of people disappearing or dying. Maybe they took the wrong pill. But we will see more and more of the exposure of the shenanigans of these people, how the game was played, who played who, and who is who in all of it. Hillary may survive through to November the 5th, but after that, it's not expected that she will be there as an inauguration day, one way or the other. She is rather ill from this particular juice that the cabal drink. She's also kind of sick and corrupted within herself on a soul level. some of the crimes committed for and by her is going to enlighten many people when the truth really comes out. But unfortunately, as it stands now, we're in a duality where you often see you're given a choice, and it's Trump or Hillary. That's not a choice. It's just not a choice. And they've played a lot of fun and games with the illusion of choice. People remember the Matrix. Do you take the blue pill? Do you take the red pill? Yet again, duality. You have a choice, but you don't. Not their choice anyway. Because both their choices are what they want, not what we want. But we have a choice, and we can play the triality. Don't vote for them. Don't participate. Don't take the blue pill, and don't take the red pill. Don't take anything. That is our choice. That is then us deciding what we want to do, not the illusion of choice that they give us. So, I mentioned a story a couple of weeks ago about a tube, and just trying to compose myself here. That tube or grid was magnetic in nature. That was the Matrix. As of last Sunday, we are now outside of the Matrix. Period. This is why people have noticed changes. This is why people have noticed the build-up to it. Strange events happening. Time. Odd things taking place. The grid that has been here over many, many thousands of years is now no longer part of our system. Period. What will take place next, and it's been phased in, as I understand it, we are 87% back into the natural world, and the fifth element, or the God particle, will now come into place. This will have massive beneficial implications for all living things, including the animals and the fish and the trees and the plants. Trees will become bigger, fruit will be larger and more abundant. What used to take 10 years for trees to grow will now be 4 in the natural world. The sun will do what it's supposed to do, which is administer the correct waves. Many of you have felt that wave energy. It's made some people a lot more positive. It's made some people a lot more tired. It's made some people a lot more irritable. It's made some people losing and some people gaining. So the consequences of the magnetic matrix grid leaving will now put us in full swing to make all the changes that we've all been talking about, including Drake, for the last 4 or 5 years. Some people, like Randy Morgan's, longer. What we will start seeing is finally consequences will be forthcoming. We've all seen certain people, certain individuals go about their daily lives with abandon, with no consequences. Not no more. Now, 16,500 years ago, the Draco kidded the original tribal people here into signing an agreement which was done on kangaroo skin. Apparently the evidence of that, as it's still retained, will be shown to me shortly. And the indigenous people signed an agreement with the Draco, who are basically an interplanetary militia, and they were afforded some niceties, but then under the agreement, the Draco would enforce global martial law. We have been under global martial law with the Draco for the last 16,500 years. Now, because that agreement was signed and was known by all the indigenous people of the time, and it was passed down from one generation to another, whereby at a later date it could be overridden, so someone will always have the knowledge. Now, this particular agreement was enforced by a universal council, and I mean universal council. Under that agreement, that particular council was bound to protect the agreement. So in other words, they were bound to protect the Draco and the people who implemented the global martial law. Now, there's been a collection of people working behind the scenes of this show, and also elsewhere around the world, who've been working together and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And what was found was there was a loophole in the original agreement that the Universal Protection Unit had to uphold, because the indigenous people signed it willingly. Now, this week, that agreement and the global martial law has been nullified in total, and a peace treaty, an all-encompassing peace treaty, has been signed, which includes all peoples, all animals, and every living being, including plant life, including the elementals, that we will have peace amongst ourselves. Within the next 6 months, there will be some sort of celebration, a giant celebration of song and dance, mainly by the indigenous people, although I imagine it will involve people around the world. It's going to take around 6 months, as I'm told, for everything to settle down and be implemented as such. So every being, including plants, will be represented via song and dance. Now, the particular tribe who signed this particular agreement had trained elders, who then trained elders, who then trained elders, on and on and on, and until we came to the one that's operating as the keeper of the knowledge today. That particular elder this week says this treaty, and they describe it in spiritual terms, basically blocked the father meeting the mother. Now what they understand as the father is the heavens, the mother being earth. So that's another example of the blocking between us and the stars. Within the near future, no dates were given on this particular. It's one of the questions I asked, because it's kind of prevalent to one of the particular sons of the Draco running around causing havoc at the moment. All Draco will be removed from this planet permanently. All negative ETs will be given a choice: change your ways or leave. There will be no violence in the changeover transition to peace. Now, today, the Nazis decided to violate that agreement. No change there. Their arrogance knows no bounds. And the Universal Council and the Galactic Council will be dealing with those people who violated the peace treaty on its first day. They will be dealt with. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Cabal members have, for want of a better word, some sort of a adrenaline drink, as it was described to me, and a whole batch of it was, shall we say, corrupted, and they've got none left that's not corrupted. Many of them have already drank the Kool-Aid. I hope they like it. And it's going to make them all very, very sick. And most will not survive. So the Cabal's position now is totally untenable, because there is enforcement of their actions and consequences on all levels now going forward as of today. We have mentioned recently about the AI, the old AI, which was programmed, as this particular show host mentioned and others disagreed, was programmed again by the Draco. That has now been taken over and is being operated by the Universal Protection Unit. Now, this particular council, all issues on all the world that this particular AI operates will now be reported back to the council. So if there's issues with poverty, there's issues with wars, wherever this AI system is in place, it now reports back, so that a swift remedy for whatever issue in whatever sector, in whatever solar system or whatever galaxy is required. Everything now to do with the AI has been overridden by the Universal Protection Team. Now, next year was the kind of rewriting the codes. There will be a new system put in place that will be designed to protect at all costs all living beings, be it Earth or anywhere else. This planet has become the role model for going forward for the other planets that have suffered also at the hands of not only the Draco but a whole heap of other entities. The Galactic Council and the Universal Protection Unit is made up of 5 species, and their role now, this agreement has been made and enforced, is protecting all people and all systems, including financial. Within the next few days, I was hoping to have the news before I went live on air. Within the next few days, the transfer of the real collateral accounts will be forthcoming, and it will be implementing Project Cleanup within the next 5 days. Because I'm particularly involved via the foundation, I've been told to expect the designation letter we've been waiting for in the coming days, because it will now be enforced. So that's kind of where we're at. A quite extraordinary and momentous week for humanity on so many levels. When I was given a portion of the information which I've just kind of read out, I took notes down. I'm thinking I've got about 1,000,001 questions here, and I'm sure we all have. But things now will start to change on a real level. The idea that certain individuals around the planet can cause havoc and not have consequences for said actions is in total violation of this particular peace treaty and cosmic law. Those people, including Mr. Putin, who's not playing the role he was designated to do, will pay the ultimate price. Mr. Putin's still got time. We keep saying on this show, you don't know which way Mr. Putin's going to go. Recently he went the cabal route and is causing quite a lot of chaos. He will be reminded one more time. So, in essence, that's why I played those 2 songs. The Matrix, Wake Up. You're outside of it now. We've lived all our lives inside this magnetic matrix grid, but now outside of it. It's up to us to decide the path forward. Will we be getting help? Absolutely. Will it be financial? Not all. I'm hoping the global accounts is used to facilitate a better world for us all. Once that better world is achieved, the idea of needing money shouldn't really exist. I've often mentioned in previous shows about competing. It's what lets the cabal control us, because we compete with each other. Better car, better job, better house. It's not better anything. Not on a soul level, it ain't. All you're doing is straining yourself and playing the cabal game. Most of us end up using credit cards we can't afford, and so saddle ourselves with a lifetime of debt, myself included, I might add. That has to change. The foundation will be built on the premise of us all coming together and working together as one. We've forgotten we're all human. We all have fears, we all have concerns, we all have worries. They always say a problem shared is a problem halved. This will be the way forward. And the way forward is going to be done under the banner of peace. I think this next song says it all. Hi all, and welcome back to the second hour, an extended break for you to all to ponder thoughts on what's just been announced. It's extraordinary. Basically, I'll run through the gist of it. The old global martial law implemented by the Draco, signed by the tribal people, has been negated, and a permanent peace treaty, which will start here but will resonate out across other solar systems, other planets. This treaty was signed with all of nature also. They were included. And the Draco and the rogue elements will now be dealt with and enforced. There will be no violations of the treaty without consequences anymore. The treaty is in full swing and is operational. The magnetic matrix grid is now gone. Permanent. We are heading into a more natural world with the fifth element stroke God particle, and this will come into place, and trees will get bigger, fruit will get larger, and the people will get better. The cabal have been partaken in what is known as an adrenaline drink, and the last batch they had was all corrupted. The consequences of drinking that Kool-Aid, I hope you like it, will be devastating for them. We will see many of the cabal members disappear or die. Violence will not be will be a last resort. The AI is now under the Universal Council control and will report back any issues regarding what's going on the planet. Anything negative will be reported. This hasn't been the case. And everything now will be overridden by the Universal Council and the protection team, and a new AI system will be operating on behalf of all on this planet, including the planetary being itself. The Cabal's position is untenable. There are 5 species within the Galactic Council and the Universal Protection Unit, and they are now protecting the people and the systems. The UN will be notified either later tonight or tomorrow. They have no option. Within the next 5 days, the global collateral accounts will land, and they will be implementing, and Project Cleanup. So we will not be responsible for dealing with them. Our role as people is to clean up the planet. Now, what's happening now is the council is approaching certain people, and has already approached certain people asking for their orders to be carried out on our behalf. Now, one of the biggest issues on the planet is lack of water, clean water, or any water. That will be dealt with. If we the people look after the planet, the deserts will be no more. From the understanding of the Universal and Galactic Council, it was said in a very cryptic manner what happened when and how did we end up with deserts, and the description was a large dragon arrived and breathed fire. Make of that what you will. So that's the gist of what has taken place this week. It's not going to be like a light switch and everything's going to be hunky-dory tomorrow or next week or next month. This will be a long-term project for the planet, but it will be done in a balanced and proper way where nobody is left out. Nobody goes without proper health, proper food, proper shelter, clean water, clean air. All these will be addressed over the coming days, weeks and months, and no doubt years. It's quite a messy system we have here. It's not the worst, I've been told. There's actually other planets that are even under more control than we are. But it's certainly because this planet is a nexus point for many. It's different. It's a potpourri. There's plants, animals, mammals, beings from all far flungs of the galaxy, all under one system. You could describe it as an experiment, but it was an experiment that went drastically wrong. The divide and the conquer, the competition between the people. No need to compete. Sport is where people compete for the joy of winning. Having a better house than your neighbour is not winning. You just have to pay more, and so you go into more debt. That's not the way life is supposed to be. But one of the things I've said in previous shows, certain things come to me. certain times when I need it. And this may explain how some of the tech they've had has damaged us in many ways, and the in particular reference to the play on words and the word magic. You know, when you're asked in school, the teacher says, spell that word. That tells you what it's about. Words create spells. And there's black magic, which is being used politically here. And there's white magic, which has been largely ignored. The white magic, in essence, is your own ability to manifest. And yes, it has an issue of manifesting here because of word magic. Now, one of the things a proper AI is recognizing the consciousness of the people and the planet itself. Well, you will have heard this term many times in your life, and it's generally when you're getting admonished as a kid by a teacher or a parent, when you were told to have a period of silence to reflect on matters. Just think of that word again. Reflect. That means it comes back on you. That's the mirror tech that I explained last week. Now, if that tech is in place and the consciousness of the planet is going up, the AI should recognize the will of the dominant species on the planet, preferably all, nature as well, including the planetary being that wants to go in a better harmonic than we have had currently. But if everything, all your thoughts, are being reflected back, that AI is not picking up any signals. This is what the grid technology and the mirror tech has done to this planet. Time to reflect. Now, time to speak out. Time to love. Time to share. Time to care. Time to resonate. So basically what we've had is a consciousness mirror reflecting back at us. We've had religious dogma where everything is a sin or classed as a sin. So that's putting us in a lower vibration, low self-esteem, lower consciousness. So the AI thinks that's all they're worth. The people, we the people ourselves, don't think we're worth much. Otherwise we wouldn't have put up with the slavery and the torture and the abuse that's been perpetrated on us right through our lives. If we had self-empowerment and was strong within ourselves, we've dealt with our shadow sides. What others think doesn't matter. It's what matters to you. And you can be selfless without being selfish. In the coming days, because there'll be more information to come out on this, we will see an elevation, particularly over this next month or so, in the consciousness on this planet. Now the grid has been removed because your thoughts and your caring nature and the loving nature that most of humanity has will go out in the cosmos and will be manifestable. This is why it's been so difficult here to manifest anything. You know, you often hear people telling, well, manifest yourself better, and you think, well, it doesn't happen. In a natural world, it does. All thoughts and feelings and words all go out into the cosmos. You're always heard. But we weren't. And people often say there's a question in particular from Jeannie about the Creator. How can it allow it? It didn't. The Draco pushed the boundary of the tech and created the illusion. And we've lived in an illusion. No more. No more. We will be, over time, because there'll be a period, I would imagine a fairly substantial period of dealing with the trauma of the lies. You always say truth hurts. Yes, it does. Particularly when we've been fooled all our life. The blind leading the blind. Except we didn't know we were blind. We will now. So you will start to experience things on a different level. Things will be strange at first. Getting used to the natural is going to be strange. Personally, I've experienced it this week. I've experienced it a number of times, but it came to a massive dawning of realisation this week on a certain incident that took place on Tuesday night. So it is here, and things are about to get a lot more fun. You know, we've had to deal with these shows with they're doing this and they're doing that. I can see in the near future these shows about we've done this and we've done that, we've fixed this problem, we've helped this person. That's what the future shows are going to be about. We won't need to reflect on whether Trump's right or Hitler's wrong. Those people have a big, quite a dilemma to deal with now. Whether Hitler survives to deal with that dilemma is debatable at this point. Her husband included. Apparently he's more sick than her, but recently she's got a whole heap worse. So that's kind of where we're at, and I hope that gives you a bit more clarity. I was going to mention I had a couple of more news items. I was going to mention Neil Keenan, but I don't know whether I should be bothered with that jackass, to be quite honest. Given the news I've just put out, it's kind of irrelevant, and so is he. The other thing I was going to mention, and this will be sarcasm. I'll leave you to reflect on it before we bring Chloe over. In a recent show, I warned you things would become more visible from late August onwards, particularly the night sky. In other news this week, NASA cancelled the live stream from the International Space Station from September the 1st onwards. Make of that what you will. We have eyes. We don't need the dodgy live streams that they turn off the minute something comes into view. So that won't be as important as it might have been previously, but we'll see. Right, we're going to bring Chloe in. Where are we? 20 to 10, and we're going to go through.
Can we have a quick song?
I'll carry on talking for a bit. Chloe's going to make some more coffee. I think we all need some of that now. Some might need a bit stronger, but not too much, I hope not. I'm going to ask a question and I'm going to answer it. This is from Lisa. I think it was kind of held over from previous weeks. Do humans have implants, etheric, astral or man-made tech devices? Are they in need of removal or otherwise being neutralised in order for us to regain memories, activate DNA or further our evolution? Although this has never completely resonated, I wanted to ask your opinions. That's about 3 or 4 questions in one. Yes, we have implants on all levels. That's the only way they could control us fully. A lot of them, particularly the soul cubes, these are very, very small devices, like the miniature item in the Mecca, which is another implant as such, that are either ingested or injected. I've actually witnessed one particular person vomit one of these up. It's not too pleasant, and neither are the implants. And so a lot of them have been removed. The frequencies, as I understand it from the wave, are neutralising many of the other techs. Like everything else, it relies on frequencies. If the frequency is inharmonic, the unnatural frequency can't work. Same applies with disease. We've said this before. Disease is a frequency. If you apply the code to match the frequency of the disease completely vanishes. No trace, nothing. This is how the tech and our science world is going to have to learn very, very quickly some of the real knowledge. You know, a lot of it has been blocked from us and them, I might add. And if they find anything, they daren't open their mouth, otherwise the grant is cut off. So, activating DNA, as I understand it, your DNA is in your aura. So, sound, frequency, music, a whole heap of things can activate. Word even can activate DNA. It's not as important as people make out, but it can be. You ready?
No, your coffee's not ready yet. Actually, Lily Earthling and I were talking about this today. In many ways, there's several routes to the activation, but the quickening that everyone is going through is an activation of our full DNA. That is, the full template is within our auras. It's just sort of been moved out of our perceptual reach. It's the narrowing of the frequency range that happened to us as we got lowered in dimensions from 6th dimension that we actually are presently. We've just forgotten it. So in a lot of ways, everyone's reports occasionally on the page of seeing things that aren't really there, but they are actually. We're seeing them now, or hearing things, or feeling things. That is the first signs of the activation of our true set of abilities, which is in our full set of DNA. So It is happening.
Right. Where are we next?
Which question is it? I'll read it and then go get your coffee. There have been reports from regular people about UN police forces moving into places around the country. What are they up to?
The actual, if it's for negative purposes, forget it. Regardless of this new treaty or not, a lot of the issues that people were reporting seeing UN forces was to do with the vehicles that are made in West Virginia, and people were seeing those vehicles come out of West Virginia and travelling all around the country, whereby they may be transferred to other countries. So they're actually made in West Virginia, a lot of the vehicles for the UN. So there's no reports on the back channels, of which I have quite a few, of any incursions by the UN. If they do, they will be swiftly dealt with, regardless of treaties or not. There's sufficient in place to deal if that becomes an issue, which I don't think it will. Alright.
If there is any time for philosophy today, I would appreciate your views, Thomas and Chloe. Why evil? If there is a loving, creative God or presence somewhere, then why would it allow evil to exist, to cause so much pain to innocent, unwilling people?
Well, this comes into the tech and the magnetic matrix stroke grid, where it's been allowed to prosper. The Draco are not a particularly nice species. It's the way they're very militaristic and very cold and calculating in how they go about things. So it's, if Source is not hearing that there's an issue, then Source can't react. If the AI is programmed whereby it can't accept the warnings it's being given by the people, then it continues, and this is basically as what's been played out over the last 16,500 years, it appears. And what do you do? So this now will no longer be the case. The idea of evil is abhorrent to most of us, but we all have the ability to be evil and to be ultimately good. It's within us all. It's part of the soul progression. You can't realise that you're doing good unless there's an alternative version. So this is like we were describing earlier about the mirror. You know, mirror needs light to shine, but that light is the backing of the mirror is dark.
The mirror in here has been distorted. We haven't been in natural creation, where what Thomas was saying, our sources and creator wasn't getting the messages back from us because it was reflecting back at us in a distorted mirror and just getting worse and worse and becoming evil. Out in a natural imbalance with creation and possibly with AI, nature with AI, because that exists someplace too, imbalance, dark and light are catalysts for growth. If you're, say, living on a planet that's got everything you need, you're just going to kind of sit down and not really challenge yourself. I did talk about this a little bit in the Saturn, the Shock with Charlatans and Saturn Moon Matrix, because it's pretty important difference from, we're trying to wrap our heads around what we've been in and natural creation, which we're about to re-enter back into. It's a good question. Why evil? There is good purposes of dark experiences, but I would definitely say there's no reason for evil around beings such as us. We don't need that much dark to learn. Some dark does teach us lessons, though. Next question. Where is it? Are we all creating this evil somehow, or is the loving creator not just really loving, but rather some system that does not protect the innocent? Is the idea of a loving creator in us and all around us, as they say, just another Santa Claus story?
No, this is part of the dodgy tech that has been perpetrated on this particular planet and system. And the consciousness has not been, of the loving side, has not been allowed to flow, because they've basically created a shit show on this planet. So everyone's in low consciousness and low vibration, low self-esteem. And that's all that's putting out. So that then creates more of the same. And that's basically how it works. Just reflecting back on us. It's not necessarily that we've created this. It's the system that's created it and who perpetrated the system. Ultimately, that system has come down, and it's up to the people to be the loving beings that they wanted to be, live the life that they wanted to live, and that's now in place.
All those questions are the questions of a person that is very logical to ask. We've been in a designed by psychotic beings, unnatural AI matrix, and we're in for a really wonderful time remembering how it really is out there. There have been reports from regular people about... Oops. Okay. Thomas is shifting questions around on me. Sorry for the gaps, you guys. All right. Has Karen Hudes switched sides?
No. Absolutely not. Hudes works for the World Bank and a load of other rogue minions. Always has done and always will do. Despite what she says. We said this before on Cosmic Voice. I've got emails from her in 2014 showing that she was writing to prime ministers and presidents of various countries on World Bank paper when she'd said she'd left 4 or 5 years previous. She's lying. So no, Karen Hudes will not be switching sides. Although she might now, but I would suggest it's too late for her and the fun and games that she's pulled off with her World Bank colleagues.
What is the progress of the cosmic wave coming in? Will the energy wave reach a peak, then slowly decrease, or stay at a constant high?
As I understand it, at 95%. My understanding is it will reach a peak and stay. Why should we have the lower energies? It's not a case of a quick boost and away you go. it's a permanent harmonic resonant frequency, which we should have had. And this is all coalescing all at the same time. And like I said, it's going to get kind of strange, and it's going to be traumatic in many ways and emotional in many ways that we have to overcome, because it is leading to something that's what we should have had naturally, which is a proper life, real life, life of living, not existing on slavery.
Is the new Earth, does the new Earth have the same borders, etc., as this one?
I don't know.
I don't think she's got any borders. And it's the real Earth.
Well, again, that will be transitional, because we've been bombarded with this divide and conquer. The latest one being anti-Muslim, or anti-black, or anti-this, anti-that. So it's going to take. It's not like a switch where we're all going to become brothers and sisters overnight. It will transition over a period of time. Once the majority become as one, then there's no need for borders or countries. As Shane said, they're just lines on a piece of paper. They don't really exist. They only exist in our minds because they've told us they exist. This is one planet. I kind of had a disagreement with Drake on one or two shows when he was mentioning about certain illegal aliens. How can you be illegal on your own planet? You can't. That's divide and conquer at its finest. Even when we got a load of refugees in many countries, the US also, coming in, and they're called asylum seekers. That's taking the P out of the people who live in that particular country. No, it's the one who enforced those rules and regulations and this insanity are the ones that need the asylum. That may be the best place for many of them. I would prefer most of them went to source. I think they need severe correcting, in my opinion.
Does it mean when we cross the event horizon towards the new Earth, we become crystalline?
That is an unknown. It's often mentioned in New Age, and we've actually mentioned it on Cosmic Voice. But it's, at this point, from my point of view, it's unknown. It's a possibility. But you can chime in more on that.
Well, the lower vibratory rate that we got kind of herded down into did do something to reflect in our physicality. It could very well be that we turn more crystalline in molecular structure, because it is how the vibrations increase incrementally. But I don't think it's going to be something that's instantaneous. We possibly might grow into it. It's really not entirely known, but it does make sense on a vibration, soul vibration level, requiring the body, the vessel, to reflect that vibration in its physicality. Crystalline is much more organized than the carbon-based bodies that we have now.
Of course, crystalline holds more memory.
Yep.
carbon is burnt offerings, and I think we've all been burnt out often enough in this life.
Oh, to say the least. Are we having a song now?
Yes, we're going to have a song. And there's been some quite extraordinary interactions this week. And one involving a certain Mr. Putin with a few good friends of mine. This song's for him. Hi all, and welcome back to the final hour. A couple of words from that last song, Judgment Day. It is Judgment Day every day here on in, and largely for the better. Our love will open any door, as one of the lines in that song. It's something that you should all absorb and administer, because this is how we fix things, by loving one another. And I put up earlier in the week a couple of lines, and people thought I was being a poet, but I'm not going to take credit for that, because that's from that last song. And from the darkness comes a smile that reaches out for many miles, touching everyone. No more shadows of the past. Your spirit is free to fly at last, shining in the sun. That is the message of the week, and it's up to you to, on an individual and a collective level, to set your spirit free to fly, and no more competing, just helping each and every one of us move forward as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So I hope you enjoyed that. And no, I'm not a poet. I've got to credit Mr. David Coverdale of Whitesnake fame and Deep Purple for those words. He has a way with words more than most in the music industry. Right, we're going to go back into a few more questions. I'm not too sure we'll make the hour. I think probably all need a bit of a rest after this particular show. But we'll see. We'll see how far we get.
How do we get to be on the new Earth?
We just stay where we are. Now, there's a signature of many Earths because of our multi-dimensionality. But we just stay where we are. It's always a choice. Some people who have came in here to fix things may go back home to where they belong or have come from. Some may choose to stay and see out the transition. It's all about choice. We've been denied real choice, only an illusion of choice. Going forward, we will have real choices.
Yeah, and let's put it this way: if a contract that humanity, the native clans all signed many years ago, was just found and ratified, thrown out, and a new one drawn up with a whole different set of solutions for us, we are also going to have that on a personal level. We're all going to have a look at our own Akashic records, something that we would have in natural creation had access to in our sleep time. And we're going to, all of us, and Source doesn't act like the God in the Bible, doesn't judge us. It's us who look at what we came here to do, the state of ourselves now, and make a choice based on our own free will. So, after you visit with Source, you want to stay with Earth, you come with Earth. It's really going to be so much simpler Okay, next question. Hi guys, I'm a new member to the group, so I apologize if this has been asked before. Has any agreements or actions been made to reducing the level of chemtrails worldwide or possibly just certain parts of the world? Has anybody else noticed a reduction of chemtrails in their part of the world? I live in East Anglia, UK, by the way. Have you been there?
Yes, I have. It's not far from Andy.
Oh.
It's Eastern. Not far. Welcome to the group and welcome to the show. We're getting a lot more listeners from the UK, which is nice from my point of view. The issues of the chemtrails, I imagine, will be, along with water and food, be high on the agenda of being corrected. There has been a reduction. It's also been noted, kind of noted, when certain actions take place, the almost pettiness of the trail of chemtrails that follow the following day. So this is, has been noted. Certain things that have taken place in the astral realm that have made fairly hefty changes, and suddenly the following day were bombarded with chemtrails, or the people who are active in that sort of thing. But it has reduced drastically as their funds dwindle. They're not getting access to the real collateral accounts anymore, despite their trying to set all kinds of Babylon systems up, and even going back to the original old system. They all failed, and if they'd been all listening to this show, they will have perhaps quit a long time ago, because everything was failing over a period of time. Yes, they've made it uncomfortable for many of us. I'm not negating that by any means. I include myself in that. Some of the fun and games they've played on me leaves a bitter taste. But we will have the last laugh. And so I would expect chemtrails to fizzle out. I think it already is on some levels in some regions, but I expect that to be addressed fairly soon.
Yes. Okay, Flint, Eastwood. Yes, you have contributed to the People's Club. Thank you. And he's asking if he could contribute to the Ruiner specifically. I will ask him if he has something set up, but probably not, and just buy his music. He loves his bandmates, and that would probably really please him. If you care for his music, of course. Okay.
Well, one of the things, like myself, Shane is quite in disgust at the levels of people charging for certain information. And he doesn't, he's often explained, like myself, we're not special in any way. It's just about doing a whole heap of research and putting your measured opinion across. Most times it's correct, sometimes it's wrong, as long as you are accountable for when you state wrong information, which I've always been. But Shane is kind of disgusted with the whole circus of the alternative media, and particularly the monetary aspect to it. So I wouldn't suggest that suggesting to him of contributing towards him would go down too well. He'll be polite as normal, and but he'll decline that request.
Yeah, he has nothing set up already because he just doesn't think like that. Are there still clone factories?
Yes. There's a number of them. They're a lot more advanced than people realise. What used to take months now takes hours. I imagine over the coming months they will be dealt with. They're not required for the real future of humanity. And so if it's not part of natural nature and natural law, then those particular entities and fun and games will go away.
Thomas, do you know more about Turkey?
Not too much. I've been too busy with other things, as the first 2 hours have suggested. It was more, to me, as I stated a few weeks ago, it was more staged events. I believe that it was deliberate by Erdogan, along with certain US factions, to play games with Putin. Now, Putin is playing two games at once. He needs to decide what game he wants to play, and he hasn't got much time to decide. It will be taken out of his hands unless he does what he was supposed to do.
Is homosexuality natural? Why has it been so harshly treated?
That's a rather emotive subject, and it comes down to individual choice.
So it is natural?
It's not for me to decide whether I think it's natural or unnatural. That's going against somebody else's free will of choice. Now, had we all been brought up in a non-religious dogma environment, would it have been seen as being harshly treated by a decreasing majority? I have to say that over the last, there's been much more open debate, and more people have come to accept it over the last 20 to 30 years. It's gone on since day one. So it's, whilst it may be uncomfortable to many, if you are then deciding that you don't like it, so that shouldn't exist, that's going against the natural free will of other people. So, whether, like I said earlier, it's not for me to decide whether it's natural or not. It's up to the individuals who partake. If it means those two individuals are in a loving, caring relationship, then we should leave those people be. What I don't like, on a personal level, is that it's been thrust into people's faces. It's a bit like what we covered last week with the Black Lives Matter and they're after reparation money. It's not the way forward. The black people, I was watching a programme last night on Lyndon Johnson, and there was obviously issues that showed the 60s and the civil rights. Appalling. Absolutely appalling. We've come a long way since then, and so have the black people. That doesn't mean to say you have to then go goose-stepping on the people who treated you badly. You show us an example of a different way. This is how you react. So I don't like the idea that it's become agenda-driven, which the gay group has largely become, like the Black Lives Matter, it's become agenda driven. It shouldn't be about agenda.
Or feminism, any other like extreme end of anything where they feel like they have to push it in your face.
Just be who you want to be.
Yeah. Can I answer the second part of this question? So why has it been so harshly treated? First, there's a couple levels to that, but the first things first, what is the main thing that the Illuminati do to each other, especially the dark magic? They have anal sex with each other. That is how they traumatize and initiate a lot of their members. So they do that. They actually really enjoy being homosexual or sodomizing. So out in public, they have to invert it and make it a shamed thing. Also, one of the main ways that they've pulled other people into their fold as far as being control of them is they drug them and take pictures of them in bed with little boys or little girls, depending on their sex. And this is to blackmail them. So there's those other two levels of it. And also, too, anything that's different is made taboo or just vilified. Back in our more native culture times, I imagine right now there's some places on the planet there were special beings, special humans that were born that I used to know a few of the names for them, but they basically considered them intersexed. And they were kind of like both sex and often homosexual. And the native cultures often consider them shamans. So if you want some evidence of it being normal, there's some in our native cultures. I'll see if I can find any, remember the name, and find some stories about that if it's important to you. Actually, I'm kind of interested. I'll remind myself, but I do remember reading about it.
Right, I'm going to ask the next question, given Chloe's done a recent document on it. That's on the Facebook page. What is the reason for the Cabal's Saturn worship? Why is this planet so important for them?
Well, Ella, I know you do the translating into Dutch. I just made a document that you're welcome to translate. It's rather lengthy, but to give you your synopsis, your short translation for your website, Saturn is a being in the planet, and he basically became allies with the Draco. It is the organic structure of the antenna that formed the Saturn moon matrix. Saturn and the moon were the organic structures that initiated us being in this matrix. So Saturn has been worshipped by the Cabal as Satan or Luciferianism. Also, that same role was played by the Royal Draco, and it's what's called in magic an egregore, and it was where all of our louche energies, all of our strong emotional energies were fed into this thought form of Satan, and the actual planet of Saturn, the moon and Saturn would send off our human energies of emotions off to wherever the off-world controllers were. So that's all broken now, and that's why they were worshipping Saturn. A lot of them, Shane informed us in the last show that Shane did with Thomas, that a lot of them are realizing that Saturn isn't a real being, or wasn't as they are worshipping him, is not a real being. So that's why it's so important to him. And the second part of the question, can I ask you that? Is there any validity in Wilcox's revelation that the cabal originate from Saturn?
No. No.
No.
Absolutely not. Next question.
Is there currently an artificial energy field surrounding the Earth that is blocking out the real sun so that an artificial one can be used for some nefarious reason?
There was.
There was. It's gone.
Not no more.
Trust me, when Thomas giggles, it's not no more. Okay. Thomas, G4S, I don't know, you know what that means?
Yeah.
May affiliate to take down all CCTV cameras in London August 19th to enhance them, in quotes. Could be a setup for a new false flag. Thomas, did you check out with any Brit sources that you may have this?
I don't think that will be an issue. They were trying to pull off. They even told you in the media in the UK. A police spokesman said there was going to be 10 attacks. Where did he get that figure from? Unless it's based on real evidence. So they're not going to be able to pull off the major false flags that they were trying to do. Many of them have already been prevented, as we've referenced on this show and formerly on Cosmic Voice. They were also planning a rock throwing event that was supposed to take place recently. Rock throwing from outside. That failed also. That may have been masked as Nibiru, which is a load of BS again. So they can arse around with the cameras all they like. They're basically wasting public money and public time. So apparently this came from Field McConnell, who I think is Able Danger, if memory serves me correctly. So I wouldn't be concerned anymore. Anything like that will be swiftly dealt with.
Wait a minute. Able Danger's real name is Field McConnell.
No, Field McConnell is one of Able Danger.
Ah.
As a side note, Able Danger is the name of a CIA program, I might add. Next question.
That's interesting. Okay, where are we with the tax stamp or whatever it is we need to get started? Oh, IRS letter.
As covered earlier, that is expected now to be delivered in the next few days. It knows the need for it and the reason why it's been done and implemented, and so it will be addressed and pushed through.
Can I answer this?
Don't just ask the question.
Okay. Need some clarity on filling out the proposal. Do we fill it out, or do we have the ones we were trying to fill it out? I think he was asking because some people he wants to help are homeless, and they wouldn't, so you would fill it out.
Once this, hopefully this week, we will probably do a media style show with the website in the background, and we're going to get our website manufacturer, well, he's going to panic now, to navigate you through the whole site, what to do, what box is required, and everything to do. If you're asking on behalf of others, then it's up to you to fill that proposal out. But everything, once finalised, like I said, hopefully this week, then we will look into very, very quickly into doing a media style show, whereby we will go through the website and you can see the visual, and there will be a narrator of what the website entails and how to address it. So that's coming up soon.
Is mainstream media and culture a big intelligence test? Those who don't buy into the BS pass the test.
Technically, it can be looked at that way. It's a sign of your discernment. We've all been wrong with our discernment, because there's that many lies. It's difficult to not trip up on discernment. Sometimes we believe what we want to hear, and too many times, myself included, on that, and that's why I kind of ultra vet a lot of the stuff that I put out. Some of it I will have known for weeks, some of it I'll have known for months, but unless I can be as near to 100% certain that the information I give out is correct, then I will not release it. Sometimes information comes at you within hours, and you have to put it out as is. But so far we've been correct in what we've stated. If it's not, then I will say so. I'm not averse to admitting I was wrong. I'm not about to be another show that's going to be telling you a whole heap of lies, whether it's paid or not. So the mainstream media and the culture isn't, in essence, an intelligence test on a retard level, because most of what's on mainstream media and classed as culture, I find particularly distasteful. It's way beneath my intelligence level. It's way beneath my intellect level also. Some of the programs they pass off as entertainment, I find extraordinary. The fact that people even watch them. There's a big program, and no doubt I'm going to upset some of the listeners. Big Brother. It's one of the most mind-numbing programs I've ever had the misfortune to watch 20 minutes of my life. Watching other people sit there and talk about rubbish. It's a lowering of your self-esteem and intelligence. And there's a whole heap of other shows the same thing. Personally, I only watch it when the UK soccer is on, and occasionally I get annoyed listening to Ancient Aliens because and their half measure disclosure. It gets rather annoying, but yes, it is. And yes, if you have avoided it, or you look at it lightly with amusement or anger like me, I tend to shout at the TV rather than watch it, then you have passed the test. And I think this last question is probably going to be the final one, and it's a good way to end, I think.
In your opinion, Thomas, what area do you think will be the most likely to break first, as in a real game changer, or do you see a slow, steady burn continuing?
We've just had the game changer. John, who's from my hometown, will be safely tucked up in bed, so he will hear this tomorrow. We've just had the game changer. The game changer was announced in the first hour and parts of the second hour. As for slow, steady burn, that will increase. Disclosure will increase. Frequencies and resonance will increase. People feeling better about themselves and those around them will increase. The burn on the cabal will increase. So it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster, because yes, it will be a lot of fun getting more of the real truth. Some of us will be quite shocked at the real truth. Despite listening to alternative media over many years and many research, there are still elements of that research that is rather questionable, as we've covered in quite a few shows now. And then people hold on to certain beliefs and structures and dogma because it's safe to do so. It won't be safe to do so in the future. It'll become as clear as day. So, no doubt, I've kind of messed up a lot of your minds, and no doubt a lot of you will be rather excited. I am. I'm looking forward to a more positive future, a drastically more positive future. And it's up to each and every individual to play their role in that. It's not down to one person. It's not down to a handful of people or a state of people. It's down to every last man, woman and child to create the world we should have had. It's no use removing all attack and rogue elements if we're going to follow the same path as them. We can't. We've worked hard, all of us, all the listeners, all those in THI, all the guys like Sir Randy Morgans and the people over in Ireland with the Open Your Mind Radio, and also the people of Cosmic Voice. We've all worked hard to get where we are. And you should enjoy the fruits of your labour going forward. So I think this last song will kind of sum up a lot of what you've all been feeling over the past 2.5 hours, 2 3/4 hours. I know I was kind of this when I received the information, and I'm looking forward to a positive change. So there may be another show before next Thursday, because everything is speeding up. The information, the intel is speeding up rapidly now, and so if things that generates enough for a certain show or an update,